You're listening to SM Media, the home of exclusive West of Scotland Football League content. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media West of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. I'm delighted to welcome this week's special guest. It's a pleasure to welcome on to the show the manager of St Peter's, John Dalziel. John, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, Scott. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks very much for having us on.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Again, obviously, like we kind of do this every week. We introduce the guests and we talk about obviously coming on after victories. Yeah, usually in the middle of a good run, 4 wins in a row. It's been a pretty good kind of month so far for the kind of end of January onwards. He's been in a really good run.
Yeah, we had a bit of a, I'm saying a blip. We took a sore one against Thrieve, which to be honest, Thrieve are an excellent side. So, but in fairness to the boys, we had a kind of bit of a kind of heart to heart after that one, and the boys have bounced back really well. So, on a good run of form, getting some good results. We obviously want to kind of tidy up some of the performances, but yeah, results wise, quite happy with the way the boys have bounced back. Hopefully keep that going between now and the end of the season, see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look with obviously last season, you were one of the first teams to go into the fourth division. What was the kind of step, the ambition to make that step out for the club, and how they kind of following up in that?
Yeah, so I think last year, obviously, year one in the west of Scotland, it kind of happened quite quickly. I don't know what kind of conversations had happened in the background, but we kind of get word that we were keen to put a West of Scotland side together. On the back of that, obviously, we had at that point, it was the under 17s, the 2004s. So as part of that move forward, we entered the team into the West of Scotland, and we also entered a team into the Lowlands Development League. So I think, as I said, it was easier for me at that point because I was then stepping up to the 20s with a kind of fairly established side. But when Taggy kind of took on the reins of the first team, it was a big ask trying to throw basically a brand new group of players together. So they started with absolutely nothing. So trying to pull a squad of players together at that point, and basically see what the first division, see what the first season in that new fourth division would bring. It was obviously, I think it was 8 teams in it, so there was a lot of unknowns. And I think I've seen that as the season went on. There was a lot of kind of ups and downs in terms of results. Everybody taking points off each other. I think Fanat, obviously, and Kilsyth were the kind of two that were kind of showing a bit of consistency all the way through it, in fairness to them. So that was it. So no, from a club point of view, it was too good an opportunity when the opportunity arisen to kind of try and put the team into the West of Scotland. From us, in terms of a former youth academy, that's what we focused on, just having the young age groups coming through. They got to that kind of 17, 18, and there was nowhere really for the boys to go after that. So the minute the 20s development team opened up and the first team opened up, it kind of extended that pathway. And it also meant that you were kind of, if you had any ambitions, you were going to try and sustain yourself at that level and try and push the club on to see what we can. As I say, a lot of teams don't have the financial backing of some of the kind of big hitters, so we rely heavily on youth. And in theory, that model of kind of trying to develop your own players and feed them through the pathway. I think that was the kind of club's ambition. And as I say, year one was probably a bit of a write-off, but we're obviously trying to kind of build on that now. As I say, Taggy had a hard job to do in terms of pulling a squad of players together. And obviously it was a difficult job. I think they finished fourth of 8. So realistically, they done okay for year one. But yeah, look to try and build on that now going forward.
Yeah, and you see obviously teams coming in this season like West Park, Thrieve, Thorn. There's a lot of good teams in that league. How eye-opening has it been seeing the kind of quality of this division? Obviously, Kilsyth getting promoted, which we'll touch on later on, but there are a lot of good sides in the league.
So I think that's probably you touched on two very good examples there in terms of West Park and Thorn. They've come through with obviously kind of pre-established good amateur sides, and they've obviously added a bit of quality to what was already quality sides. So from our point of view, we didn't have that. It was literally try and grab people off the streets or people that maybe never really worked out at different sides, and it was a second chance for them. So I think this year for us, stepping into that, we knew we had to kind of rebuild the first team that we had at St Peters. But we knew that the challenge in terms of extending the league, bringing in some kind of additional clubs, who I think have been a great addition to the fourth division and very good advert for the west of Scotland. And then when you bring in a team like Threave, I think Threave have said themselves they've got ambitions to go and play at a higher level without being disrespectful to any of the teams in the fourth division or whatever. So I think it's added some real quality sides into that fourth division. It's made it much more competitive, and I would say a much harder league to get out of this year. But yeah, lots of good players in there, lots of good teams in there. And yeah, it's been a very, very, very difficult league this year. Lots of tough games. I think you see that in terms of results. Energy on their game, capable of taking points off each other. And even when you look at some of the cup runs that some of the sides have put together, the fourth division sides have went and getting some good results against some good, well-known and well-established sides this year. So, which I think is a credit to them and the fourth division.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into obviously touching about in St Peters later on, obviously when we talk about your game on Saturday. But we'll start with I've kind of full card. A few games get called off, obviously due to the waterlogged pitches. But we did have a busy weekend. We'll start in the Premier Division. It was a bit of a weird weekend at the top. Obviously, none of the top three at the time won. The big winners of the weekend, I would say, were Pollock, a 3-0 home win over Kilwinning. Goals for Stuart McCann, Duff and Docherty. Again, obviously, Kilwinning, their first game under new management with Chris Aitken and Ian Durant getting in. But that's a massive win for Pollock. And again, puts them third in the table. Results kind of went their way. And Stuart will be kind of similar. He'll be wanting to obviously break down the top two at the moment. Kind of Auchinleck will be kind of creeping in behind them. But it's a massive 3 points, especially against a Kilwinning side who that kind of new manager bounce kind of thing. And probably going through their head.
No, I think it's a great result. And as I say, kind of looking into some of the stuff that happened over the weekend, it was 0-0 at half time, so quite tight at half time. And then Paul, I think, were reduced to 10 men. I think the boy Burns was sent off. So when you think at that point, Stuart and the guys maybe said, you know what, it's a point, not a bad result, but fair play to them and the team. They made a couple of changes, scored 3 kind of late on in the last kind of 20 minutes, and that's a really, really good 3 points, as you say, against a Kilwinning side that obviously brought in a new management side, which will normally get that new manager bounce. But no, I think that's a great result for Paul at the weekend, and it keeps them in the mix at the top end of the table. Obviously, they've got a bit of work to do in terms of behind the likes of Bede and Darvo, and Talbot still get games in hand. But I think Stuart's obviously trying to kind of get his own stamp on it since he's come in. So I think it'll take him time. But no, they'll be pleased with that. As I say, good result for the guys at the weekend.
And what about Kilwinning? Obviously, looking at them, just looking at their place in the table, they're sitting. They're now bottom. They're now joint bottom and goal. It's goal difference kind of keeping goals scored. Actually, it's keeping them off the bottom of the table. We spoke a lot about Kilwinning. Are they in a false position? I was very vocal that I thought they got rid of David Gormley way too early. But Chris Aitken's obviously a manager. He's done really well at East Kilbride, Ian Durant. We know the history he has as a player, but he's also had a good coaching career. What will they be looking for in the first few weeks? Will they be looking just to put their own stamp on it, and just because when you're sitting in that position, when you've got the talent they've got, they will be wanting just to get out of that position quickly because they shouldn't be down where they are.
No, I totally agree, and I think that's something that Chris and his team will probably look to try and just get an extra 10-20% out of the boys that are already there. As I say, I do think, I don't know Gorms personally, but I'd heard a lot of positive things, and I agree with yourself, Scott. I think maybe he's been unfortunate to kind of go too soon. I think if he'd been given time, he might have turned that around. But certainly from Chris getting there, I think they've got a very, very good group of players. I do think they're in a false position, and it certainly wouldn't surprise me if they put a run of results together. I wouldn't fancy playing Kilwinning over the next couple of weeks, even if I was a team in form, because I do think they'll turn that around quite quickly. And as I say, between now and the end of the season, I'm sure Chris's kind of ambition is to kind of consolidate, get them pushed up the league, get safety, and then they'll look to try and build next season. But no, they're too good a side. The Premier League's some littered with good sides. But for me, Cowan's one of the top end sides, and I'm sure they'll bounce back between now and the end of the season. And they've got games in hand, and some of the sides run about them as well.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll be okay. I think they'll kick on between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think we'll move on to the league leaders. Bees were held at home away to Cumnock, 1-1 draw. It ends obviously Bees winning run, but a lot of reports saying that Cumnock were Bees were trying to get a goal out, to win the game, and Jamie Bartley had a great game for Cumnock and nets. Yeah. Again, Bees, it's one of those games like Bees obviously on a terrific run, but this league a lot of these sides are very, very evenly matched, and when they come up against each other, again, it's not a result that surprises you.
No, and again, I think I think the boy Scott Ruff that they brought in from Muirkirk, I think he was sent off at the weekend. So again, Beith played a long kind of part of that game with 10 men, which at that level it's hard enough 11 against 11. Yes, they've ended their kind of win and run, but I think playing Cumnock with 10 men, I think they'd be quite happy to take the point. And by all accounts, as you said, the goalie had an excellent game. So I don't think that's a bad result for Beith, in all fairness, considering everything.
Yeah, and kind of results have went their way as well. Darvel were held a 2-2 draw at home at Glenafton. Again, Glenafton, I just think it's a massive result for them as well. Obviously, they're riding high after getting through to the semi-final of the Cup. They'll obviously play Cumnock at Auchinleck, which is, again, by some occasion, a Friday night. That's going to be a Friday night worth viewing there. When Cumnock play Glenafton at Auchinleck. But again, Darvel, obviously, they were coming out of their difficult result against Falkirk. It was, again, Glenafton deserve a lot of credit for taking the game to Darvel, because I think they went behind twice.
I was going to say that. I think great character from Glenafton, because they were behind twice and they pegged it back. As I say, the Darvel, we've seen over the last couple of weeks, for anybody that didn't know the quality that Darvel have got across their squad. They've built up a very, very good squad of players. They've been on a bit of a high. They've got momentum there. They're still obviously looking to try and push on for trying to kind of retain the league. So I think that's a very, very good result for Glenafton. As I say, they'll be pleased to show a bit of character, not just to come back once, but to come back twice. That says a lot about that group of players. And they've been in a decent run of form, Glenafton. I know they're sitting kind of mid-table, but again, it is so tight. One or two wins in that league can spiral you up 3-4 different places. So no, a good result for Glenafton. Darvel will be disappointed that they've maybe lost a wee bit of ground, but yeah, good result for the Glens.
Absolutely. Well, Auchinleck went to Rob Roy, drew nothing each. Again, their win and run came to an end. A makeshift goalkeeper as well. I don't know if you saw this. Andy Leishman was obviously replaced, and Mark Shankland was the Auchinleck goalkeeper for quite a long period of the game. Again, a full credit to Shankers for keeping a clean sheet.
I was going to say Shankers is used to been in between the sticks, but it's normally trying to score the goals rather than keep them out. So no, I never knew that.
I've just seen the photo of him with the goalkeeper shirt on.
No, that again, knowing that then, because I thought Talbot would be disappointed, kind of dropping points to Rob Roy, but maybe then in hindsight, that's another good point for them that they'll look back in. As you say, none of the top three, none of the top sides have really kind of lost ground in each other. Results have all been fairly favourable. They've all kind of picked up a point. But yeah, Rob Roy's not. It's obviously playing Rob Roy away. It's not an easy place to go. Kind of grass park up there's. We played in that park earlier on in the season, and it's kind of heavy grass park. So again, not a bad point to kind of take away. I'm sure they'll look to bounce back this weekend or the next league game. But yeah, good point in hindsight, especially for missing their goalie.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll move into Hurlford 0, Irvine Meadow 1. Probably the big kind of story of the weekend, I would say, was probably the departure of George Grierson for Irvine Meadow. That kind of came out on Saturday morning, and I don't know enough about it to kind of go into what the ifs and whys, but I know that obviously that it's a surprise anyway. I don't think a lot of people expected it, but again, Irvine Meadow, it's difficult again when you lose your manager in the morning. It's difficult to get up for a game and how different things might be, but they go to Hurlford, which is never an easy place to go. And it's a penalty from Callum Graham, but it's a massive 1-0 victory for Irvine Meadow, and after a day it could have been so much different.
Yeah, I think fair play to the kind of coaching staff and the group of players. Kind of keep focused. Going to Hurlford, getting the 3 points. As I say, George has been in there. What I think it was 5 months, something like that.
Yeah, maybe
He'd
not
been in.
12, isn't it?
He kind of turned their fortunes around a wee bit. They were in decent form. I think they're sitting six in that league now.
Yeah.
So no, that's a good result for Evermeadow, clean sheet. And as I say, they'll obviously look to try and kind of move forward as a group. But I think I read again, not on too much about it. I just read on social media that I think there was an assistant that's worked with George for quite a while. So I don't think it was something he was looking to do in terms of stepping up,
Yeah.
whether it's short term. But he's obviously come in there at kind of short notice. Obviously, kind of galvanised the squad, got them together, and they've obviously went out and done the business on Saturday. And as I say, they'll look to obviously try and build on that moving forward. But certainly consolidates a lot of the kind of good work that George has done over the kind of last whatever it is 4 or 5 months of this season since he's come in.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Clydebank came from behind to beat Largs 2-1 away from home. Nicky Little with a double, one for the spot and a late winner. Again, Clydebank, they're just going about their business quietly. 5 wins from 6. They're just going up the table. They're sitting in 5th. They're in a really good position, actually.
Yeah, they're nicely kind of tucked in. They're kind of been going about their business, as you say, just kind of keeping under the radar. Clydebank are an excellent side. I watched them earlier on in the season, and I thought some of the football they played was excellent. Thought Moff's getting them kind of playing some really, really good stuff. They look dangerous middle to front. They score goals. Yeah, they'll be fairly happy with where they are at the moment. And as I say, I think if people are continuing to talk about the likes of Fearbees, Darvos, Talbots, Pollock, if they're kind of under the radar at the moment, I think they take that and say they'll be confident of putting a run of games together between now and the end of the season and seeing where they end up. But they've done well this year. Again, you look at the teams that are in there, it's kind of difficult to say who the top 3 or 4 sides are. But when I watched Clydebank pre-season and I watched them earlier on the season, and I fancied them to be up kind of top 3, top 4 this season. So for me, it's no real surprise. But yeah, they'll look to kind of just kind of keep plugging away, keep putting points on the board. And for Largs, they'll be disappointed that they lost that. But again, they've been putting some reasonable results together, Largs. And again, I think they've got some quality in that squad. They've probably got a smaller squad at the moment, Largs.
Yeah.
A smaller group of players than maybe they'd want. But again, what they have got there, there'll be some quality players in there. And I'm sure Largs will be fine and they'll look to bounce back and kind of just consolidate their position in that league as well.
Yeah, final result we'll touch on was Petershill came from 1-0 down, 2 really late winners, I think 2 goals in stoppage time, a 2-1 win over Atherley. Again, Petershill, they're finding their feet, they're getting wins in the board. They were struggling at the start of the season, and they've got Jay Mackay's been a big player for them as well. He's scored quite a few times since he's come in.
Yeah, well, I think that's 3 wins in the last 6.
Yeah.
They're kind of again. I know they're still in that kind of bottom kind of 3. I think it is there, but they're a decent bit of form. I think they've added. Am I right in saying they've added Dan Miller in as well?
Yeah. Darren signed a few contracts this season by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I seen him taking a bit of stick in social media. But I think that's a very, very good signing.
Yeah.
They can get Darren firing, give him a bit of firepower, also a bit of experience. He's kind of been there, played at a very good level. So that could be a very shrewd signing for Petershill. I suppose the only thing for me regarding Peasy is it too little, too late for them? Because I think they played more games than a lot of teams run about them down at
Yeah,
that
they
bottom
have.
end.
Yeah.
But do you know what? They'll just be looking to try and put a run of results together and see where that can take them and hope the results elsewhere go their way. But no, very, very good result. Arthur have been a wee bit up and down recently.
Yeah.
So a very good result. I think they were a very good comeback against Davila a couple of weeks ago. And then a couple of kind of poorer results from their own admission. I think that's maybe 3 defeats in the bounce.
Yeah, the last game they won was that game against Darvel. Yeah.
So, but again, like a lot of the leagues, very, very competitive. I think 1 or 2 results can make a wee bit of a difference. But yeah, Arthur will look to try and stop that slump quite quickly. And as I say, PSG will look to try and build and hopefully put a run of games together.
Yeah, Absolutely. Cambus Lang against Troon was abandoned due to an injury to Kyle Maxwell, so we're sending our best out to Kyle and his recovery. We'll move into the First Division. The story is probably Benburb were 2-0 up at home at St Cadoc's. Gary Muir with a double and Ryan Thompson a late winner, and St Cadoc's came back and won the match 3-2. And it just means now there's three teams at the top of the table. St Cadoc's managed to get level with Drumchapel and Kilbirnie, who dropped points during the weekend as well. We'll touch on that in a second. But that's some recovery for St Cadoc's, being 2-0 down at Benburb.
Yeah, I was speaking to a couple of people who took that game in, and as I say, Benburb, I think they were 2-0 up, maybe after about an hour, maybe, and by all accounts, fairly comfortable. But credit to St Cadoc's and kind of John, he's kind of made a couple of changes. They got obviously back into the game, and then obviously Gary added a second, which I think was a kind of literally 90th minute equaliser. And maybe again, if you were speaking to Johnny, maybe I've taken that and 2-0 down, but fair play to them to go and get a winner. I've seen the celebrations on social media, and they were absolutely buzzing to get that win. And that's an important win for St Cadoc's. I think they lost the week before, so they'll be happy to kind of get a quick response with the players. As you say, it keeps them right in amongst it. It's very, very tight at the top of that table. I think the top four are separated by 3 points. I think the top three are all
top three are
on 33. So, very competitive league. Some really, really good sides in there. I've not seen St Cadoc's this year. I've seen Benburb. And they'll be disappointed with that, especially letting a lead slip. But again, I'm sure they'll bounce back. They've got a good group of players. Paul's got them playing some decent stuff. But no, St Cadoc's will be happy to pick up 3 points there and move on.
Yeah, they benefited with Kilbirnie drawing 0-0 at home to Shotts. Obviously, again, just had probably by all reports an even game. I think Shotts were really good at the back, just solid. Kilbirnie couldn't really get it going. Neilston, though, big result for them. A 1-0 home victory over Drumchapel. Drumchapel are still top goal difference, but what a win for Neilston. Again, that's 3 wins in a row for Neilston.
For me, that's the result of the day. I think since Kevin and Oni have went in to Neilson, I think the first game that they took, if I'm right, I think they kind of watched it from the side, and Andy Whiteford and the guys that were already there in the interim charge, they kind of took it on. But since Kevin's went in there, what a turnaround the results they've had, and it's not, again, without being disrespectful, someone say it's not some of the teams down at the lower end that they're picking their points up against. I think they beat Garcairn, I think maybe last week, and then as I say, that result against the Drum at the weekend, for me, absolutely excellent. They say they've done a very, very good job. I was in for a short time with them at Muirkirk. And the guy's done a brilliant job done at Muirkirk. So it's not really a surprise. I spoke to Kevin a couple of weeks ago, and he was kind of just outlining what his plans were. And as I said to him then, it won't surprise me if he turns that around about. They'll be disappointed. As I say, they've pushed themselves up to 6. They'll probably be disappointed that they might just run out of games. Because I think if they'd been in there a wee bit longer, they might have been able to push them up back into that kind of top 3 or 4, pushing for that promotion. But as I say, I thought Chrissy Cameron and Big Carson had done an excellent job at Neilson. They built a really, really good group of players, and I think it was just unfortunate. Sometimes you just need something new, something fresh, just that fresh voice to get a reaction, and I think that's literally what it is. And as I say, Kevin and Oni went in there, they've done a very, very good job. And I think, again, they'll put a run of results. They'll be a hard side to beat between now and the end of the season. And they'll look to obviously consolidate and build again in the summer and bring in 1 or 2 of their own players. So, but no, very, very good result for them at the weekend.
Yeah, big result for Bonneton as well, a 2-1 home win over Cumbernauld. I think Bonneton are going under the radar. I think Ross Wilton's done a brilliant job since he's went in there. Obviously, not a lot like in terms of quality. When he went in, they were really, really kind of out their depth last season in the Premier Division. But to First Division, we thought the same. Would they find this league too hard? They're sitting in 10th place and they're winning games. They're in a really good place.
Yeah, they're a side that I don't know much about, and I haven't seen them. And as you say, they are kind of under the radar. They're not one of the sides that are certainly in the kind of circle of people I've kind of spoke to. They're not one of the names that have been mentioned, but I think, as you say, Ross has done a very, very good job kind of getting them just kind of putting some results on the board, and if they go about their business quietly, look to kind of secure their place again. And I think that's probably their aim this year, is to secure their place in the division, and then look to try and add a bit of kind of quality in the summer and try and kind of kick on again. But no, very, very good result. We actually played Cumbernauld in the cup earlier on the season, and I was really impressed with Cumbernauld. I know their kind of league place doesn't really show at the moment. They're down, I think, that bottom three, but
Yeah, they're sitting
I
14th.
thought they played some good stuff, and I thought middle to front they had some good players, and it's a bit of a surprise for me where they're sitting. So, as I say, I would have expected them to kick on and move up the division, but they'll be disappointed not to pick anything up. But very, very good result for Ross and the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Blantyre went to St Rochs and won 3-1, a double for Jarvie and a goal from Nad Zeb. Obviously, the headline of this coming out was the sacking of Davy Gregg for St Rochs. Again, I'm very, very surprised at that. I know there seems to be problems in the background that we won't get too much into, but again, Davy, you look at the start of the season, the job David did was brilliant. They've been in a little bit of a difficult run, but again, I just think I think losing somebody like Davy is going to be hard, because Davy had done really well since he went in there.
I think, again, I don't know Davy personally. I've heard a lot of great stuff, and anybody that's had the opportunity to work with Davy or work for Davy, they hold him in such high regard. So he's very, very well respected. He's a name that's kind of spoke about very, very well. And I'm surprised that
I'm very surprised,
St
actually.
Rochs have kind of parted company with him, because I know they're on a poor run, and David probably the first one to admit that it's not the results they've looked to pick up, and they'll be disappointed. I think it's 5 defeats and 6.
Yeah,
But if there's somebody there that would turn that around, he'd be the man you'd fancy. As I say, I
correct.
don't know if they've lost a couple of boys, I don't know if they've had injuries, suspensions, or whatever else, but he is certainly the guy you'd fancy in the trenches, basically, to get them out of that. So, massive decision for St Rochs. As I say, I hope David bounces back and he's back in the game soon. But massive decision for St Rochs. They need to make sure they get their next appointment spot on, because I think that's going to be a hard one to turn around if they don't get the right people involved.
Yeah, big one for Blantyre, though. The one they badly needed. I don't think they've won in the last 7 games. That's a big 3 points again, and Jarvie by double. He's been big for them this season.
Yeah, good result for Blantyre. As I say, I actually went to try and watch one of their games earlier on in the season, and the game was off. So again, it's not a side I've seen this season, but it kind of tucks them in there. I think they're kind of mid-table, and again, they've got some games in hand, around. In fact, they've got games in hand in terms of the teams just below them.
Yeah,
And as I say, they've got a couple of games in hand over Nielsen, who they'd obviously look to try and catch as well. So, tight division, as I said, similar to the Prem, that if you put kind of back-to-back results together, you can move up a couple of places. So they'll look to try and move on. But they're sitting comfortable at the moment, mid-table. As I say, I'd expect them to kind of push on and be challenging the likes of your Boroughs, your Ben Burbs, and your Nielsens for the position just above them.
yeah. Final result, a big win for Whitlets. Their second win in a row, a 2-1 home win over Rutherglen Glencairn. Again, Whitlets,
Yeah.
they just want to go off bottom spot, and they're certainly, the last 2 games have shown that they can. Big
That's
results.
great result. So I think that's two, as you said, 2 wins on the bounce. Sorry. So and it's back-to-back defeats for Rutherglen. I watched Whitlets in the cup final a couple of weeks back against
Yeah,
Renfrew.
went through.
And to be honest, I thought in that game Renfrew kind of started well first 15, but see after that I thought Whitlets played some really good stuff. I thought they looked very lively middle to front. I thought they looked dangerous in the final third. And it's a bit of a surprise to see them obviously at the foot of the table. I know they've got games in hand, and they'll hope that they can put 2 or 3 results together to get them out of there. Yeah, massive result. I believe they were actually 1-0 down as well very
Mm-hmm.
early on. So again, great character for them to kind of turn that around, especially a team at the bottom of the league to lose a goal so early on in a game. You can see certain teams if the mentality's not right and they've kind of chucked it, if you like. They kind of threw that away, but no, great character for them to kind of dig in against a very, very good side, and not just to kind of take the point, but to get it all 3. They'll be delighted with that. And as I say, they'll look to kick on. But they're a side as well for me that are in a false position based on what I've seen of them. I would expect to see them move up that table, and I think the teams are slightly above them. They'll kind of be worried about looking over their shoulder because I think Whitlets will come out of that bottom three, and hopefully make themselves safe for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the second division. First played second going into the weekend, and Renfrew came from behind twice to pick up a massive 3-2 win away to Ashfield. Diver Morton an own goal, but again, just a really tight victory. Really good game by all accounts. Renfrew will be absolutely thrilled with that result, and Ashfield will be gutted.
Yeah, I think Renfrew went through a bit of a blip, probably by their own admission, over the last few weeks. Obviously, they get the cup and amongst that, but league form probably wasn't great. I think a lot of people kind of built them up and said that they were running away with that league, but I think anybody knows all teams throughout a season are going to have some sort of blip. And by the looks of it, Renfrew are kind of maybe now kind of coming through that as back-to-back wins. Jimmy, I know Jimmy well, and Jimmy Quigley, he's a great guy, but he's Renfrew through and through, and he was working hard to try and turn that form round about and make sure they get back to kind of winning ways. See, I played against Renfrew a couple of times. They've got some good players, good group of players, kind of fairly solid at the back, and again middle to front. They've got some good players going forward, and that front kind of group of players that they've got, they could score goals at any level. So delighted for obviously Jimmy, as I say, they'll be hoping to kind of kick on now, and cement that kind of promotion place. They'll want to just try and put a bit of space between them and the teams below them. As I say, there's still a few teams kind of trying to get into that top three, and they'll still be pushing for promotion. But no, delighted for Jimmy. Say Ashfield, they've been a very, very good run of form, so they'll be disappointed to throw that kind of lead away twice and then ultimately come out that game with nothing. That'll be a sore one for them. But they've got a good squad. They've got a good management team that have come in. They've got a good run of form. I think them and Renfrew will be looking to try and get promoted this year. And for me, it's one place that's up for grabs between those other sides. But no, they'll be disappointed, but I'm sure they'll bounce back.
Yeah, just some of the other teams that won as well. We'll start with Glasgow Perthshire. They keep going there, and a magnificent run actually. Yeah. 5 games unbeaten, 3-2 home win over Kilsyth Rangers. Musa with a double and Rewardza with the other goal for them. We speak about Bally Adams' job, the job he's done there. It is remarkable when you look at the resources he's got, because to get to be second in that league when there's so many talented teams is remarkable.
Yeah, they're punching above their weight in terms of what the expectations from everybody out with. But they'll be quietly confident. They're kind of about their business. They've put a very, very good squad of players together. They're in a great run of form, as you say. I think that's 4 wins and a draw in the last 6. So they'll just look to keep putting points on the board and see where they end up. So whether they're targeted that top 3 at the start of the season, I'm not so sure. But I think now that they find themselves there, they'll certainly look to try and consolidate that, and they'll look to try and finish in that top 3. But lots of good teams run about them. But no, they're flying at the moment. As I say, it's probably one of the shock teams in that division at the moment.
Yeah, well, Craig Mark as well. Liam Caddy scored 4 goals in a 5-2 home win over Forth. St Anthony's 2-0 away to St Glasgow United. And we'll touch on obviously the 9-goal thriller between Muirkirk and Maybole, which ended up 5-4 to Maybole. 3 big results there for big teams. Obviously, Craig Mark's sitting in 4th, St Anthony's now in 5th, and Maybole in 6th. That's 3 big wins for them, and a lot of goals in there.
Yeah, lots of goals. Fans will certainly not be disappointed at these games. But yeah, I think that's the thing. The table's tight. Teams know that they need to put points on the board each week. I think if they don't, then teams will start to kind of make a bit of ground on them, or teams will start getting out and pulling away from them. But no, some really, really good results here. Yeah, kind of Craig Mark, that's unbeaten in 6. So again, going about their business, they're kind of just on the outside of that promotion. So they'll look to kind of push on and try and force their way into that top 3 as well.
Yeah. Other games, Andrew Skinner scored a second half hat-trick. Maryhill won 4-1 at home to Ardere. Wishaw won 3-2 away to Yoker, a hat-trick from Harry Kent. And Glasgow Uni won 3-1 away to Greenock, Baxter, Adams and Smith. Any takeaways for their results?
I think Maryhill, we trained beside Maryhill start of the season, and I think Mark's got a good group of players. I think a young squad as well that Mark's put together. And I think the general feeling was they weren't getting the results that their performances deserved. But Again, they've done well. I think that's 4 wins and 6 for them. It kind of pushes them out with that bottom three positions. And again, they've got a couple of games in hand over the team just above them. It wouldn't surprise me for Martin's squad to kind of kick on, push on, and I think they'll be looking to try and target that kind of mid-table position. And again, consolidate and building that for next year. The other one for me that's a bit of a surprise is Greenock. I watched Greenock. We played against Greenock in pre-season, and I also watched them a couple of weeks ago against Renfrew, and I thought they were excellent against Renfrew first half. They've got a young squad. Nixon's kind of put a young squad of players together. They've got some talented players, but they're maybe just not getting the rub of the green at the moment. They just need something to go their way, and they'll look to try and kind of get that run of form turned around. But yeah, they'll be looking. They're desperate for a win. I think that's 2 draws and 4 defeats in the last 6 for Greenock. But they're a good side. I think they're another team that are maybe in a false position. But unfortunately, the teams run about them have got a lot of games in hand. So Greenock will be kind of nervous about that dropping into that bottom 3 at the moment. But yeah.
Absolutely. We'll move into the third division. Larkhall ended Lanark United's unbeaten run, a 2-1 win for Larkhall at home. Again, Larkhall, you look at Lanark's run and it's came to an end, but they're obviously still top of the table with 2 points. But Larkhall, it's ending that run. They'll just be able to kick on for that now.
Yeah, again, we played Simon's side before. He's built a very good side up at Lanark. Very, very difficult place to obviously go. I know they were on their travels to Larkhall at the weekend, but they were on a great run of form, confidence kind of brimming in that squad. So for me, a very, very good result for Larkhall. And again, it's one that kind of really boosts their promotion chances as well. I think it kind of puts them 4 or 5 points outside the promotion places, but they've got games in hand. And again, Larkhall, I think they've got four wins and a draw in the last 6. They're in decent form, but that's a big performance and a big result against kind of one of the top boys in that division. So they'll be pleased with that. And as I say, very, very good, 3 points for Larkhall.
Yeah. Kello won 2-0 at home to Port Glasgow. Goals from Kerr and Struthers. Vale leaving 4-1 at home to Carluke. Connolly with a double. Thackeray and Daniel with the goals there. Bells Hill going to Irvine Vicks is a massive result as well. Irvine Vicks obviously been a really good run as well. They've only lost 2 out of the last 6 games. Kagan Elliott scoring there and Finart 2, Luger 2. What was your takeaways from the third division?
I think so. We've played against a few of these sides. Great result for Vale leaving. It was a bit of a 6-pointer against Carluke, so they'll be pleased to kind of get the points in that one. And obviously, by the sounds of it, they've scored a few goals, so it sounds like it's fairly comfortable. The kind of, again, probably the result of the day for me in that division is Bells Hill. We played against Irvine and Bells Hill in pre-season. Irvine have obviously changed their squad quite a bit, and they were in a very, very good run of form. They've got ambitions of trying to get promoted this year. But Bells Hill, for me, they're a very, very good side. They're kind of, I think that's 4 wins and a draw in the last 6. They've got a very, very good setup. They've got a good management team in there. I know 1 or 2 of the boys who are in previous roles. They're working hard in the background. They're doing a lot of good stuff on and off the park. Very, very good result for Bells Hill. And again, they'll hope to try and kick on, move their way up that division. They've got some young players in there, so I think if they can keep some of those boys that they've got, maybe add a bit more experience, they'll look to kick on next year. But no, really, really good result. Getting down to Irvine's not an easy place on the grass. So they'll be pleased to kind of come away from Irvine with the 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go to the 4th division as well. We'll start obviously with St Peters, a 2-1 home win over Eglinton, 4 wins in a row. Bill reports it wasn't easy.
It wasn't. I think we made it hard for ourselves. I thought the first half hour we played some really, really good stuff on Saturday. A lot of kind of good football, a lot of kind of good one-touch football. Created a lot of chances, and we obviously rued a lot of missed chances in the final third. I think if we had went 2, 3, maybe even 4 up, I think it'd be difficult to argue with that in terms of how we started the game. But credit to Eglinton. I thought the kind of last 10 minutes of the first half, they kind of came into the game. And I thought in the second half they obviously changed it up a wee bit. They kind of tweaked their shape. They get closer to us. They shut us down. They kind of press the space. But not only that, they get the ball down and they played. And I actually thought they played some really good stuff second
Yeah.
half. They'll be disappointed, as I say, to come away with nothing. I think from our point of view, Eglinton obviously equalised, and then we obviously knew that we had to try and get the 3 points. We went down to 10 men kind of late on in that game, and thankfully we got a winner through Kieran Davis, boy brought on loan from Nielsen. So great header, great delivery from a corner, great header at the back post, and as I say, we managed to see that one out. But I think it does go to show. I know a number of people spoke about the kind of quality in the fourth division. If you're not at it, teams will take points off each other. And for me, Eglinton showed that on Saturday by us not kind of killing the game when we kind of dominated it. First half hour, they came back into it, and as I say, they had a couple of half chances. They kind of played some good stuff in the middle of the park. And yeah, they'll be one to watch. As I say, I'm interested to see how the results go between now and the end of the season. We've still got to get down there and play them, I think, the last game. So that's a very, very tough place to go. But no, I was impressed with Eglinton. I thought they'd done well.
Yeah, brilliant. First promoted side of the season is Kilsyth Athletic. They obviously clinched promotion by 4-0 win away to Harmony Row. Again, it's just obviously this season, they've only 3 games left until the season's finished, which I think will end in the end of March or something like that. But again, it's just some achievement for Bailey, especially being a young coach as well. Just a marvellous, marvellous side.
Yeah, first off, from us, congratulations to Bailey, the coaching team, and obviously the players. It's an incredible achievement. 19 games, 18 wins, and 1 draw. There's, as I say, some good sides in there. They drew their draw actually only happened a couple of weeks ago against Thorn. So they've been an incredible run of form. And they thoroughly deserved to go up. And I'm sure they'll look to obviously add more and make themselves a force in that third division next year. But they've got some good players, some really, really good players. Bailey's, for somebody that's obviously recognised as a very, very young coach, he's been in games where they've been under pressure or they're up against it. He's tweaked things, he's changed things about. He's not scared to make some tough decisions. And he's obviously got a very, very good relationship with that squad of players because he seems to be very well respected. And as I say, he's changed games with some of the decisions he's made. We've played them twice already this year. And I thought we were unlucky not to take anything down at Renfrew when we played them, but they kind of beat us 3-1 at Kilsyth, and they deserved their win. They were very, very good going forward, and a lot of quality all over the park. So no, pleased for them. They've worked hard at it. They're doing a lot of stuff in the background down there in terms of their facility and everything else. So pleased for them, as I say, massive congratulations from us to them.
Yeah, absolutely. West Park 1-2-1 at home to Thorn Athletic. Again, West Park, they just keep this win and run going. We spoke to obviously Ian last week, and they're 3 games behind Kilsyth with 10 points behind. And again, it's looking like it's going to be between those two for the title. And I think they play each other. If it's not next week, it's the week after.
Yeah, I think they face off in a couple of weeks against each other, which will be a cracking game. It's probably disappointing if that's not a Friday night game, to be honest, because I think they could get some crowd. But for me, I think that's a great result for West Park. I think for me, they're the most difficult side we played this season. I think they just never let you get a minute. They're at you. They've got a good balance between kind of battling hard, they work hard, they're aggressive in the tackle, but they can play. And I think I was interested to hear Ian last week, and he said that for him, first and foremost, you need to go and win that battle, and then when you win the battle, you go and play. And that sums up his side. As I say, they've got some very, very good players, and they've added quality as the season's went on. I know a couple of the boys they've brought in who have played at good levels. So I think that'll be an interesting game. I tipped West Park to win the league at the start of the season. I think they're obviously still in amongst it. I think it's going to be. I think it will come down to the game between them and Kilsyth. But yeah, they've got a very, very good group of players. But for me, that's a great result at the weekend against Barry's Thorn side, who I think in themselves they've got a very, very good side. They're in a good run of not so much form, but they're playing some good stuff. They're getting a good squad of players there. Barry's built a really, really good side, and I think they'll be a team to watch next season. But in terms of West Park, they've got some tough games coming up. They've obviously, I think they've still to play Kilsyth. Obviously, they'll get Threave, and they also we've still to play them as well. So they'll be confident they can go and get the business done. But yeah, another team that have been showing remarkable consistency this season. I think the only defeat they've had was against Kilsyth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and I think they had a couple of boys red carded in that game as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that head to head goes with the guys in a couple of weeks.
yeah. Final game, 3-7, Glenville 3, a hat trick from Dean Brotherston as well. 3 obviously kind of close to yourselves in the league. They've got a game in hand, but there's only a point between you. Again, 3 are just they're winning games. They've got a lot of good goal scorers in their team as well. Like Kearney and Brotherston. They've got a lot of talent in their team.
Yeah, they're a side for me. They're probably the best footballing side in the league. I think when they're allowed to play, they can knock the ball about. They've got a lot of good experience, a lot of good players. They've been an excellent addition to the West of Scotland and our league. And their obvious ambition is to progress through the leagues. But they're a very, very good side. It doesn't surprise me when I see that they scored 7 against the kind of Glenville side. Andy's doing a lot of work at Glenville to turn them around, but 3 are capable of doing that to anybody on their game. So they're clinical in that final third, and yeah, they'll be pleased to bounce back on the back of a poor result against Easterhouse. Shows again great character for the players to kind of bounce back, get 3 points on the board, score goals. And they'll be looking to try and obviously finish the season with a run of victories. As you said, it's probably now between us and them for that third place. I think Thorn have probably got too much work to do to kind of get themselves back in there. But but an interesting end to the season. But no, 3 very, very good side, and they'll certainly have ambitions of kind of getting through the divisions.
Yeah, well, for yourselves as well, obviously, you were talking there about the promotion spot. There's 5 games left before the end of the season. Just run through them. Away to Harmony Rowan Saturday, then Friday night game at home to Easterhouse, away to BSC, home to West Park, and then closing the season away to Eglinton.
Yeah.
They're big 5 games, and surely that, like, I know you'll say like promotion's not in your mind, but when you're this close to the end of the season, it must be.
Yeah, and again, I've always been pretty honest. We came into take this role at the start of the season. We've got a very, very young group of players, so we did, whether it's realistic or whether it's kind of just over ambitious, we did say that we wanted to try and target promotion within 2 seasons. And we've found ourselves this season. We wanted to come in, try and consolidate, find our feet at this kind of level. As I say, we put 10 of our under 20s. We promoted 10 of the under 20s into the first team this year. And I think of our current squad, 12 of them can still play under 20 football. So it's a very, very young group of players. So we wanted this year to just find our feet at the level, try and be competitive, try and avoid taking a bit of a sore one anywhere, and try and play the way that we want to try and play and learn from the experience at this level that would hopefully help us next year. The boys have overachieved, in fairness, so credit to them. They've done very, very well. We've found ourselves in third place at the moment, and probably in a shootout with 3 for that third place promotion. So we've got 5 cup finals, and realistically, we want to try and put as many boards as we can. As many points as we can on the board. We know that there's not going to be easy games. Everybody's trying to take points off each other, but for us, if we can try and finish strongly, and we'll see where we end up. Yes, at this stage, we're talking about trying to get promoted. We'd be silly to say otherwise. But we do know that if ultimately 3 win their games, then it's out with our control. But we also know 3 have got a couple of difficult games, let's say, against Thorn, Kilsyth and West Park. So it's all to play for. I think they credit both teams for making it interesting, getting into the tail end of the season. So yeah, we'll see where we end up, but we'd love to get promoted. We would love to go and try and push on and kick on and get promoted into the third division. I think if we don't do it this year, it'll be an even tougher division next year with the teams dropping out of the third division. So, but at the end of the day, we want to go and kind of compete. We want to go and see what we can do, and as I say, we'll see what happens between now and the end of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. A couple of games to talk about at the midweek. Tuesday night, we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, so we'll not know the score between Drumchapel and Kilburnie. What a first division game that is on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm going to go along to that one. I think that'll be a cracker. I think it'll be a good game to watch. I've not seen much of Kilburney. Obviously, follow a lot of stuff on the socials, and they've got a good side. They're in a good position. Some really good results this year. And I've seen the Drum. We played against them. We've seen some of the quality that they've got at kind of very kind of close levels, and they've obviously added a couple of excellent signings since then. So the Drum are littered with talent. They're a team for me that they're kind of geared up to play in the Prem. They've got a very good squad of players. So that should be an absolute cracker. And I think for the neutrals or anybody that's in the area, that'd be one that they'd want to be taken in. So I'm interested to see how that one goes. But I think that'll be a tight game. But I'd probably, if I'm pushed, I'd probably go for Drumchapel just to nick that one.
Aye, that's going to be a really tight game as well. I think if you're near there, go and watch that because it'll be better than what's on the telly. Wednesday night, two games in the Premier Division. Darvel host Hurlford and Troon host Pollock. Two big games as well.
Yeah, as I say, Darvel will be looking to kind of bounce back from kind of a couple of points dropped against Glenafton. So they'll be looking to kind of bounce back with that one, and they'll be delighted they've got a game so quickly. And what's the second game? Sorry, Scott.
Troon host Pollock.
So again, Troon will be looking to try and get some points on the board. Stuart will be obviously going down there trying to kind of just build on the good result that they got against Colwynnon. They'll be looking to try and go and get another 3 points. But again, Troon's not an easy place to go. I know they're not in the best of form in terms of where they are at the moment in the last kind of run of 6 games, but they're not a bad side. It's not an easy place to go and get a result. So if Pollock are going to get anything from that game, they're going to need to go and earn it and work away at that. So I think 2 very good games, 2 close games. But yeah, I think Pollock might just nick that one in the end.
Yeah, again, it's going to be another fascinating week. We will be back next week as well with a new episode covering the action from last weekend. And John, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
No, thank you, Scott, and all the best between now and the end of the season.
Very much, thank you. Please subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels, and as always, follow us on social media for consistent West of Scotland Football League coverage. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Cheers.